3.
Academy of Art University's Urban Nights update is next. Coming up, International Workers' Day takes on a whole new meaning.
What's the best value college in the entire country? We have the answer.
We'll reveal an insider's secret to getting affordable housing in San Francisco.
And if you missed it, we'll take you to Comic-Con in San Jose. All that and more on Urban Nights Update.
Hi there, and welcome to Academy of Art University's Urban Nights Update. Shalea Brooks is joining me. I'm Sarah Rosenthal, and here's what we're working on. This is the scene from an International Workers' Day rally that took place in San Francisco on May Day, May 1st. The rally at Justin Herman Plaza near the Embarcadero was just the second of 3 events scheduled. The day began with a protest outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters and ended at the Civic Center. Traditionally, May Day is to commemorate rights for workers around the world. However, this year, many protests that are in conjunction with the National Day of Immigrants and the threats they face under the Trump administration.
There's another immigration protest coming up this weekend. Paula Picardo sat down with Jenny Liu, who speaks about activism and an immigration rally that takes place in Chinatown on May 6th.
Hello, I'm here with Jenny Liu, a social activist from the Bay Area of California. My first question is, tell me a little bit about the rally in Chinatown on May 6th.
Well, on May 6th, it's an important date for the Chinese American community here, and that's the 135th anniversary of the enactment of the Chinese Exclusion Act, which is a little-known period in American immigration history where over 60 years, Chinese laborers and their families were not allowed to immigrate or be naturalized citizens. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Yeah, so we're having a specific show of solidarity, given what the community has been through in the past, to express our support for a pro-immigration platform in America, and to say that we feel solidarity with undocumented immigrants and refugees.
Great. How do you think the Chinese Exclusion Act correlates with the current travel bans and creation of bordering walls in Mexico?
Well, surprisingly, it's uncanny how it's very similar. The Chinese Exclusion Act, which began in 1882, was the first race-based immigration against a specific race and class of people. And this is exactly what's happening today. What we underwent in 60 years was extreme vetting as incoming immigrants. We were banned. We were not allowed to bring our families, so we had a lot of family separation. Angel Island in San Francisco Bay Area is one of the most well-known detention centers that in American history. We weren't the Ellis Island of the West. Ellis Island was to process immigrants, but Angel Island was specifically to try to exclude Chinese.
Great.
Yeah.
What do you think are the major differences or changes in activism from today to earlier decades in history, in American history?
Well, you know, I think it's a real exciting time. I think people of my generation, the boomer generation, we grew up in the 60s and 70s where there was a lot of activism around civil rights and ethnic studies, and also against the Vietnam War. And now we have a situation where the whole country is in turmoil, you know, watching the news every day, listening to what is happening. And, but what's really fascinating about this situation is the generations are linking here, where you have, your generation is very media savvy, very up to date on things. The president is tweeting, and a lot of people that I see at the marches span that entire generation now, so I think it's a really exciting time.
Do you, would you agree that activism starts with the individual and branches out to protesting in larger groups, or how do you think that that dynamic from the individual to the larger group, how do you think those two relate?
I think it can work both ways. I think for a lot of people it starts with the individual, that maybe you hear something in the news or with your friends where you're talking about, let's say, affordable care or how immigrants are being treated or mistreated in this case. Something about taxes, cutting of programs like Meals on Wheels or child care services. I think if it emanates from something that's impacting you as an individual or your family, you can enter through activism in that way. In some other ways, I've seen people saying, oh, my friends are going to the march. I want to see more. What's that all about? And did you read that on WeChat or that hashtag? So the information is going around a lot, and it comes from both ways. So.
Great response. What was an event or protest that you've been to in past years or decades, and what do you think that protest did so well?
Let me give you an example. Okay, one of the biggest protests that I went to before this recent election period was I dragged my kids that were small and my dog to a protest against the onset of the Iraq War. Having been through the Vietnam War, I was very anti-war because I could see the long-term costs that it has on individuals and also on the country and our economy, and has very little to show for it. There wasn't a lot of people that showed up for that. I noticed everybody seemed to be from the Vietnam War era. But more recently, when I went to the Women's March in San Francisco or the Tax March, I was really amazed how it was intergenerational. And there was a lot of people. One of the signs that I'm most impressed by was that Trump made me an activist. And there's so many people that I've come across recently that said they've never been to a march, they've never been to a town hall meeting, or they've never watched the news, and now they're involved in all these things.
Great. So you said there was a sign that said, Trump made me an activist. Do you think the election of Trump has sparked this new influx of modern activists?
You know, I think it goes both ways. I think, you know, people are often defined whether they're in the left or the right, but I think I would say the silver lining in a lot of this turmoil that's going on is people are getting involved and people are paying attention to what's going on in the country. You may not agree with each other, but I think people are paying attention to what they want to see happening in America, and it gets them involved. People that have never thought about running for office, or people that have never voted or registered to vote, they're getting involved now, and I think that's good. I have talked to friends that what's important, though, is that we're not just talking to each other, but we're listening to what people that we may disagree with, what they're actually saying. I think there's a lot of valid points on all sides. And I think in some ways we were kind of benign and everybody was asleep. But now everybody has strong opinions, and I think that's okay. Okay,
great. Thanks for the insight, Jenny Liu, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Paolo and Jenny. Thousands of people across the country gathered last weekend to demand action for climate change and protect the environment. President Trump plans to cut back on funding for the Environmental Protection Agency. Protesting can be an effective way of shedding light on topics like climate change and the attempt to shape the future of our country. As Trump makes cuts on environmental protections, he claims that he intends to focus on creating new jobs.
This past weekend marked President Trump's 100 days in office. To mark the occasion, he agreed to some interviews. However, many of his statements were not true, as evidenced by his interview with ABC News. He repeated his false claim that there is voter fraud in the recent election. He also gloated about the metrics of his victory over Hillary Clinton. The president also loosely said that immigrants are just pouring into the country. This is not true, as the number of undocumented immigrants in this country has been stable for years. He continued to maintain that former President Obama had him wiretapped, and recently questioned why the Civil War could not be avoided. Are you stressed in the recent election? You are not alone. Psychologists say that many people in the Bay Area are suffering from election post-traumatic stress, similar to that of soldiers coming back for war. BetterHelp, an online counseling service, says that people are feeling traumatized from the election stress, making it hard for them to sleep, as well as raising anxiety that creates a stressful mood and community when tension is high.
President Donald Trump has appointed former president of leading anti-abortion organization Charmaine Yoas. She has been asked to serve as Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at the Department of Health and Human Services. Many bills have been passed under Yoas' leadership, ban abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy, require sonogram, and heavily regulate abortion clinics. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue is already starting to undermine Michelle Obama's fight against children's obesity. Perdue feels that schools should have more leeway and serve more food that will appeal to kids' palates. And he plans on debuting a change in school lunch standards that will weaken the restrictions on salt and requirement of whole grains.
Applying to college? Harvard and Yale might not be the best choices. Forbes named UC Berkeley the top best value college out of 300 schools in the U.S. in 2017. UCLA was second in the ranking, and Stanford University came in 7th. Private universities in the Northeast might not be the best options now either. According to the Forbes rankings, 6 of the top 10 best value colleges are in the West. This is the second year in a row that Berkeley was named number 1. College loan debt has now risen above $1 trillion, and it's going to keep climbing, according to the Federal Reserve. Many families try to avoid going into debt, but there is a major issue with the rising cost of being unequal to wage growth. Student loan debt is now bigger than the nation's credit card debt.
Students looking for housing in San Francisco may have an easier time in the next few years. This is because the city is planning to plan an annual fee on colleges in the city with student housing. This is an aid to colleges with helping students find affordable housing within the city. In September, the city planning committee lowered the required time college had to enter into lease to enable it to be exempt from affordable housing requirements from 5 to 2 years. In a city like San Francisco, housing and students can be very expensive. Baladi Ajamale has more on an alternative option.
At Academy of Art University, students have a choice of 14 different housing buildings. Some are all male, all female, over 21, under 21, and co-ed. Students struggle regularly to pay for rent, but there's an option, like the Monroe. And Brett Hernandez tells us why.
Moved in the dorms 2 years ago. I was there for a year. It was alright. Space wasn't that great, but food was close at least, and it was first experience. Couldn't really afford like a whole apartment situation, but I found this place called the Monroe, which is like almost a hotel, but also has like apartments. And I've been here ever since. We get 2 meals a day, which is pretty incredible up in San Francisco, and the price. The managers are really helpful and generous with us. Like they'll give us discounts when we're away and stuff like that. Dorms, I only have like a per semester number. I think it was like 16,000 off the top of my head. I don't know if that's 100% true, but here I know it's $1,050 a month, $1,050. It used to be even lower than that. So,
Like Brett mentioned, the Monroe reduces prices for students living here, and Prosper Mohammed mentions why.
One of the main reasons is when I moved first in the Monroe, I was a student going to City College, and the manager gave me a break because he understands how hard it is to be a student and I still live in San Francisco. For private room, it's $1,880 a month, and for share room, it's $1,240. Students for Academy of Arts, we charge them $10.50.
In San Francisco, I'm Baladi Ajamale for Academy of Art University's Urbanite Update.
Thanks, Balade. For those interested in Monroe residence, it's located on 1870 Sacramento Street.
Here at AAU, we're nearing the end of the school year. Let's join Kurt Stouffer, who has more on what it means for sports.
Thanks, Sarah. This past week marked the end of the season for many of Academy of Art's spring teams. The baseball team wrapped up things with a 4-game series against Point Loma on Friday and Saturday. Senior pitcher Brett Bovee threw a complete game and got the win in his final start of his college career. On Saturday, the team lost their final 2 games, but senior Jacob Green would pitch 5 scoreless innings to end his time with the Urban Knights. Eric Luna, the team's senior first baseman, said a few words about what it feels like to be playing his final game.
Going into the series this weekend is, it's kind of a happy, sad ending because I've been playing this sport since I was 4 years old.
The team finished its season with a record of 20-30. The women's softball team ended its season with 2 games against Dixie State last weekend. Dixie came into the series ranked number 24 in the nation. Unfortunately, the Urban Knights would fall behind early in both games, and the Dixie State Bison would hold on to win. Senior Alexa Peters talked about what it's like to end her career playing after so many years.
But also a really long journey. It was cool to come out and finally just have that last game. Like, you see the 3 years prior to that and all the girls go through it, so it's fun to finally go through it yourself. And to have your family there is also cool. And we had a lot of fans here today and a lot of friends, so overall.
The Academy of Art team ended the season with an even 25-25 record. The Pac-West Track and Field Championships took place down in San Diego over the weekend. The Urban Knights would take home 24 gold medals on the way to placing second in the men's competition and third in the women's competition. Hannah Hensley would win the most outstanding athlete of the meet honors on the women's side. On Friday, she won the long jump championship, and on Saturday, she would follow up with the title in the high jump. Hannah is ranked first in the country at the high jump. On the men's side, it was Balade Al-Jamale who would dominate things on the track. He would easily defend his title in the 100 meters, with Craig Maddox taking third. But it was in the 200 meters where he would be most impressive. He won the race with a time of 20.67 seconds. This automatically qualifies him for nationals and is the fastest time posted in the country this season. Finally, we go to Hawaii for the Pac-West Women's Golf Championship Tournament. Led by Shulin Lin, the Urban Knights would take second in the conference, only 10 strokes back of the leader. This ties for the best finish in the young program's history. Most impressive is that all the team scores placed inside the top 10. This is the first time that has been accomplished in school history. That's all we have time for today. A big thank you to all the Urban Knights athletes who made this an outstanding year in sports here at the Academy of Art University.
Thanks, Kurt. Yankee player Derek Jeter is on his way to owning his own team. The retired athlete has partnered with Jeb Bush to put in a bid to buy the Miami Marlins. The two took the world by surprise, leaving people asking if in fact Jeter can manage a team and what additions the duo have in mind. Jeter is scheduled to have his number retired on May 15th, Mother's Day. There's always been an ongoing debate on men and women's sports, but did you know women are at a higher risk of concussion than men are? Investigators at Columbia University in New York found that among college athletes, women were 50% more likely to sustain concussions. A neurologist who was part of the study admitted that it's still not known why the rate is higher.
If you've ever wondered about who has access to physical therapy and or the benefits of it, you can wonder no more. Craig Maddox has you covered, and he's recently spoke with athletic trainer Lorenzo Cardenas.
Physical therapy helps people of all ages who have medical conditions, illnesses, or injuries that limit their regular ability to move and function. Certain programs can help individuals return to their prior level of functioning, prevent further injury, and improve overall health and well-being. I spoke with athletic trainer Lazaro Cardenas earlier about physical therapy.
As an athletic trainer, one of the things that we have to do is physical therapy. The main reason it's important is for after a person gets injured is to get their function back and to get their strength back and to get them strong like they were before they were injured. As an athletic trainer, I work mostly with athletes, but physical therapy can be done by physical therapists in the general population. I deal with active people, whereas physical therapists deal with active people, but they also deal with people that have strokes, or neurological things, auto accidents, any of those type of injuries. You could either use an athletic trainer who's trained in setting up exercise programs for injury prevention, or you can go with a strength coach that's going to evaluate you and help you strengthen the areas that you're weak in.
Many insurances provide payment coverage for physical therapy, but that also depends on the therapist you are working with. You can pay anywhere from $50 to $150 per procedure with a licensed therapist, or you can pay $60 to $70 per session with a personal trainer.
As athletic trainers, we don't charge per therapy, but as a person who has been to physical therapy, my therapy was to go in, heat up with a heat pack. That was $25, and then have a therapist put me through my exercises. That was $45, and then ice and stem afterwards. That was $45. So you're looking about at a little over $100 a session when you go in for physical therapy. It's pretty expensive.
Physical therapy should be added to everyone's personal life, regardless of age or condition. Some key benefits of physical therapy include improved mobility, recovery from stroke or sports injury, improved balance, managed women's health, and help avoid surgery. In San Francisco, I'm Craig Maddox for your Urban Nights Update.
Find a provider near you and get started on your physical therapy. Grab your kids, grab your wife, and don't forget to grab your bikes. San Francisco cyclists are ecstatic after hearing that the Bay Bridge bike path is now open 7 days a week. This means cyclists and walkers can stroll across the bridge with family and friends Monday through Sunday between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. The 2-mile bridge connects Oakland with Yerba Buena Island, which has an outside lane for walkers and 2 adjacent lanes for 2-wheeled vehicles.
A California swimmer is currently fighting for her life after being attacked by a shark in San Diego. Apparently, while swimming at San Onofre Beach with her boyfriend, who was surfing nearby, the 35-year-old was bitten in the leg and had a tremendous amount of blood loss. Witnesses say her boyfriend heard her screaming and eventually found her at the bottom of the water and brought her to shore. She's been identified as Leanne Erickson, and she is a mother of 3. Migrating gray whale calves are in danger. The reason? A family of killer whales is waiting for them in Monterey Bay and killing them faster than ever seen before, according to a marine biologist. The family of 9 killer whales might be teaching their young how to hunt, and they might have been especially hungry because the gray whale calves and their mothers arrived from Mexico a few weeks later than usual.
In lighter news with animals, did you know that there are more dogs than children in San Francisco? Ironically, the 10th annual Dog Festival doesn't just benefit dogs, it benefits kids too. So I went to DeBosi Park to see how exactly our furry friends can lend a paw. DeBosi Park, hundreds of local dog lovers and dog owners gather for the 10th annual Dog Festival.
Holy moly!
With contests for craziest costume to best coat, all for a great cause. Not for dogs, but to raise money for local schools in need of more funding.
This is my first time being here at this event, and I think it's really cool. It's a lot of people, a lot of dogs, and yeah, I think it's a really good cause that they're raising money for kids, and it's a great way of doing it because people love dogs, and yeah, it's just a good time.
A fun way indeed. The Dog Festival benefits dogs and kids at McKinley Elementary on 14th and Castro, with a winner like no other. Meet Thule and his owner, Michelle Kurtz. Thule won 2 awards, Best Coat and Best in Show.
We were very surprised that Thule took first, but we shouldn't be because he is a wonderful, wonderful dog. Thule is a Hungarian Commandor. He's a livestock guardian dog, and he's an advocate for his breed.
Thule, the shaggy but smooth dog, gracefully enjoyed all the attention from his new fans and enjoyed his winnings. After the show, many people gathered to pet him and take pictures of the day's winner.
This is a great cause, and they did a great job of raising money because they made it a lot of fun, and the dogs are a part of it, but it's about education. It's a dog. That's a question we get. Is that a dog?
The Dog Festival happens every year, so if you're interested in signing your pup up, visit their Facebook page. In San Francisco, I'm Shalia Brooks with your Urban Nights Update. The Dog Festival was filled with great events and activities for dogs and kids. It's a great event for the whole family, so be sure to come next year. Johnny Depp surprised fans by showing up in a full costume in Captain Jack Sparrow on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland. The actor was waving and swords and talking to writers in the typical British slur. Depp's appearance at the park caused a stir on social media, with fans saying that it was the best Disney experience they ever had.
It looked so much better on the internet, but what was once used exclusively for online dating has now expanded to the world of music festivals. This past weekend, thousands of hopeful festival goers sat in former disaster relief tents, eating from styrofoam trays on a desolate island in the Bahamas. It was a far cry from the glamorous Fyre Festival that most of them had paid tens of thousands of dollars to attend. Organizers officially canceled the event and promised refunds as hordes of people tried to board the first flights off the island. Coachella's country cousin took over the Empire Polo Club in Indio, California this past weekend. In the 10 years since its inception, Stagecoach has become one of the largest music festivals in the world. The festival featured country superstars such as Kenny Chesney and Dierks Bentley as its headliners. But a sign of a festival's prominence is which guests come on stage to help out. When Nick Jonas and Neil Young appeared, it was clear that Stagecoach had entered the big time. Now let's go to Balade Aljamaale for some more entertainment news.
This week on Entertainment, we look at how mother-to-be Beyoncé continues to slay. Actor Grant Gustin finally engaged. The Guardians of the Galaxy down to the big screen once again. Kendrick Lamar is still on top, and the musical instrument able to play the entire Mario theme song. On Saturday, April 29th, Beyoncé was spotted at a wearable art gallery showing off her growing baby bump alongside daughter Blue Ivy and hubby Jay-Z. This wouldn't be the first time Queen Bee has shown she's more than comfortable in her skin. The star continues to show numerous photo shoots saying she wants the twins to look back and knowing their birth is as momentous as the Olympics and the Super Bowl. Blue Ivy is expecting to welcome her siblings mid-July.
Iris West, will you marry me?
Yes. Yes.
On a fairly recent episode of The Flash, Barry Allen, played by actor Grant Gustin, proposed to Iris West. Well, this time it's for real. Along with updates from the behind the scenes of the show, Grant Gustin posted this picture of him and fiancée L.A. Thelma showing their bling.
Hope you're ready. It'll be here any minute. Is that a rifle?
You don't know what a rifle looks like?
It's just swords were your thing and guns were mine. But I guess we're both doing guns now. I just didn't know that.
Well, that's intense.
Intense indeed. The long-awaited sequel to the Guardians of the Galaxy is here. The last movie saw Star-Lord and the rest of the gang save, well, the galaxy, in style. This time they do it with Baby Groot and more action and even better soundtrack. The movie is expected to make $100 million, and the movie opens in theaters May 5th. The Guardians of the Galaxy might have an amazing soundtrack, but Kendrick Lamar has been killing it in the last 2 weeks with his latest album, Damn. But not only is he a lyrical genius, Kendrick has been known to have some of the most interesting music videos, and he didn't disappoint.
I get way too petty once you let me do the extras. Pull up on your block, then break it down, we playing Tetris. AM to the PM, PM to the AM phone. Piss out your per diem, you just gotta hate them. My left stroke just went viral. Right stroke, put a baby in a spiral. Ay, you do not amaze me, ay. I blew cool from ACA. Oh, but much just page me, ay. I don't fabricate it, ay. Most of y'all be faking, ay.
Crazy, right? But it doesn't stop there. Many people grew up playing Mario as a childhood, and this girl uses an ancient Chinese instrument to relive these good times. I wonder what instrument will be used to play the Call of Duty theme song. That's all for entertainment. Back to you.
Thanks, Balade. Thousands of comic fans came to the Silicon Valley Comic-Con this weekend. I went to San Jose for a closer look.
The second annual Silicon Valley Comic-Con was held this past weekend in San Jose. The convention brings together many people's greatest loves: pop culture and technology. Over 65,000 people attended this convention during the 3 days it was held. They lined up to meet celebrities such as Adam West, John Cusack, Steven Yeun, Tom Felton, and William Shatner. There's a lot of new gaming gear too. Many avid fans came out to add to their collections with figurines, drawings, and comics. There is also a lot of cosplay, with everything from anime to video games. A lot of these cosplayers spend a lot of time with their intricate designs, making them look as realistic as possible. It is cool to see so many things that you only see on a page come out in real life. There was numerous displays for every fandom, including Star Wars and Star Trek. There was a lot of new technology on display as well, with everything from new NASA displays to new driving technology.
It's not just a gathering, it's also a huge creative outlet for us doing cosplay. We get our own theater in the way we want it to be. Sort of an idealized version of the media that we're all doing our versions of.
If this convention looks like a lot of fun, mark your calendars for next April, when the convention will be back again. In San Jose, I'm Sarah Rosenthal for your Urban Nights update.
Superheroes, villains, anime, and more, all exposed at Comic-Con. Craig Maddox asked some people to name their favorites.
It's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. In honor of San Jose Comic-Con, I webbed my way around town to find out what comics people liked and why.
My favorite comic would be Wolverine, and the reason why is his leadership throughout the comic books and the way that he can slash and dash.
My favorite comic is Calvin and Hobbes because I've been reading it since I was a little kid.
My favorite comic book superhero would have to be The Flash, just because he's a very persistent person and he puts family, friends, and everyone above himself, trying to protect them.
My favorite comic is Batman the Killing Joke by Alan Moore because it shows the backstory of the Joker and it's a little darker and it shows a laughing side of Batman.
That wraps up this edition of Academy Art University's Urban Nights Update. I'm Sarah Rosenthal.
And I'm Shalia Brooks. For everyone here, thanks for joining us and see you back next week.
I don't know what happened.